Welcome into episode number 199 of the Grunge Bible podcast. My name is Chris Salona. I am here with Ethan Shalloway as per usual. Ethan, 199, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. 200 is right around the corner.
It has nowhere to hide.
It is crept up on us. It's back so fast. And the new year's off and running. Thank you everybody for coming back for another year. Hopefully you guys listened to the last few episodes. But Grunge Bible is officially back. Grunge Bible pod, that is. And we're excited to, I feel good, Good morning, had some coffee. The nieces came over, so they're upstairs playing. We're down in the basement getting the pod done. And but took my cold bath today, or cold plunge, that is.
Very nice.
It snowed the last few days, so I had to break through the ice. And the tough part is when it freezes over, is like the ice is just in your way all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's like
gotta get those pickaxes out.
The actual volume of water to sit in is lower, and but we got it done. Just getting in. It's not about being comfortable, I guess. So it just adds to it.
Absolutely. So is this like a portable, collapsible, like ice tub, basically, like a cold tub?
Yeah, it's like thick plastic that
Cool.
you blow up, I guess, the rim, but then once you put water in it, it holds its form.
Oh, nice. So it's kind of like those, like back in the day, like those, like the inflatable, like above ground little pools that people would put up in their backyard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not all full of water, just like the top little ring. But
right.
I never had bought one over the years to have at the house, because I was always like, you have to get 8 pounds of ice or something to make it cold when it's not cold outside. But when it is cold outside, you can just leave it out there. So
you got ice all over the place.
Yeah, so it's been really nice right now. So we'll see how it works, like how effective it'll be like later on. But
right
now, I'm really liking it. I like doing it. I mean, are you a cold? Were you ever a cold?
Yeah, I
guy
have.
When it came to training, like cold
it's been a long time, just simply because like I don't have access to it. But like in college,
Exactly.
like I used to now and then. Like we had we had a cold tub and we had a hot tub and sauna and everything. And like I would do contrast stuff sometimes, but sometimes like my body wouldn't really respond amazingly well to like cold tub treatment, so I just didn't do a ton of it. But I'm sure I was probably just being soft. But it's been a while.
Yeah, back when you had all the facilities right at your fingertips.
Oh man, yeah. You never realize how much really you have going in your direction until it's gone. Still, like, all of like my workout gear is essentially still like the freebies that I got while I was in college, and I'm sewing up bits and pieces of it as I need to. But if it's free, it's for me, and it's still for me, even though I've been out of college for almost 7 years now. We've both been out for almost 7 years. It's kind of a weird stat.
Yeah, it is. It is, and the older time flies, man. It is bizarre.
It sure
I'm
does.
sure the old heads are listening, but you have no idea, kids.
Yeah, wait until you learn. Oh yeah.
Wait until your favorite band that you grew up with is actually 25-year anniversaries are coming up and stuff like that. So
exactly. Well, I mean, even still, I remember when we started doing Grunge Bible. Some of the bands were like just getting to their 25th anniversary, and now it's 35, and things are getting old now.
Yeah, it's tough when I listen to music. I was thinking about this the other day, like with music discovery and stuff, and the way it comes up. Like I'll listen to a band, and usually the first thing I think of is like, all right, how old are these guys? Mm-hmm. Like, who's I listening to? Hear More Voices, or Hear No Voices, I think it is. And I had to look it up. Like I was like, all right, are these guys new or are they old? Is it older stuff? Because the music just pops up. And,
yeah.
I like getting a reference of like how old the people are that I'm listening to.
Yes.
Do you feel that same way when you listen? You're like, all right, how old?
I always try to pin it, and like I feel like as I bet you are, like we're pretty good at it. It's like you can kind of guess like when it came out, and also additionally like how old they were when they released that. But some of those instances where you're surprised, it's always really, really fun. Like I forget, I can't even remember who it was, but I remember one time like I would have bet my bottom dollar that it was a song that like came out in like the late 60s, and it turned out that it had come out in like 2002 or something. So
wow.
it's like little things like that I think are really cool. It's, just when you think you've got to figure, that was the song. It was a song called Brain by a band called The Action. And this was like years ago, but it came out in 2002. And like, I was listening to it for the first time. I was like, there's no way this song didn't come out in 1968. And I was incorrect. Dude, even the album cover, these guys.
They're cheating.
Like, you could have told me that was a picture of like the monkeys or like the mamas and the papas, and I would have said okay, but I was wrong.
That's funny. Yeah, it definitely looks like an older band. I think I was looking at something, and it was a band. It was a band from the '90s, but it was a new release that they just did. Like,
oh yeah,
and that always trips you up.
These guys love those new releases.
Yeah. So today, this is episode 199, and we are going to talk about, we got a request from a recent patron to kind of lay down the law about what is the best grunge music to listen to in the weight room. So we kind of put together our list in no particular order, kind of. I mean, there's like kind of tiers in it. Maybe we'll talk about or give it like, this is top tier. This is like peak weightlifting. But I know there's a lot of New Year's resolutions out there. A lot of people that want to get into the gym have some habits to form, and no better way to get something done than with a soundtrack and a bunch of songs. And these are the ones that we've used over the years. I'm sure we've definitely talked about the Bad Motorfinger songs and the different things that have came up in our life, because that's what we talk about when we talk about songs. So we're going to be getting into that a little bit, which will be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is by no means going to be an exhaustive conversation.
Right.
But this is just, where we stand right now, saluting the heroes that have carried us for many, many years throughout our strength pursuits. And Ethan, yes, as you mentioned, this was a Patreon request. Shout out to Darren Peterson. This episode is for you. This was your request that you made, and we're ready to give it to you straight here, and our Grunge Bible workout playlist picks here. So if you're out there and you have a lovely idea, or you have something that you're eager for us to do an episode on, I've got some good news for you. If you join the Patreon, which is linked in the show notes at any of the tiers, we will reach out to you, and you can submit an episode topic that we will get to in time. We have several in the tank right now that we're going to be working on and getting them out here throughout 2025. But if you want to join the list, just go ahead, go over there and join the Patreon. And in particular, I think we can move anybody who joins the top tier to the front of the line, because that means that you're giving us $10 a month to help this podcast continue. And in addition to getting an episode about whatever topic you want, I do get to say your names every week. And thank you if you do join that top tier. So I'd like to thank A Bit Dusty, Black Hole Sean, D-Boat, Doug Endy, Eddie Vetter got me through my second divorce, Apona, Gochu John, Jade Mercado, Jamie Lynn, Carlene Salona, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, Michael Dooley Project, Millie, Nikki Six, Pile of Punk, Russell, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Sherry Matthews, Abraham is the cutest basset hound ever, and what the fuck is up, Denny's? So thanks, everybody. You are all incredible, and I'm very grateful for your support.
Yes, we are. We really are. We need some more people to name off, so please, if you're listening, check out the Patreon. See if you'd like to give.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about, this is coming out January 13th, 2025. And let's go through some things that happened in music over the course of history. So, starting in 1962, country musician Trace Adkins is born.
So I got to tell you, this is we have a short list here for this day of music. Seemingly not much happened, and I even went to the well to see like what famous events happened and like what famous people were born, and like there really wasn't much. But I saw that Trace Adkins was born. He'll be 63, and for some reason, like, I mean, I got into country music from like 2008 to like 2012 or 2013, and Trace Adkins was the first country musician that I learned of, that I like decided that I was a fan of back when I was 12 or 13 years old, which is really strange because I really really can't stand to listen to too much of his music now. But happy birthday, I suppose, and thanks for that.
Yeah, I Trace is definitely somebody that I do not know much about. I don't know much about the country sphere and whatnot. So sorry to all those Adkins fans out there. But
yeah, I'm sure there's many of them listening to this episode.
But remember, this is the year of no longer lying is out. So I'm not going to go and try to listen to Trace. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and we're not gonna be reporting back.
No one's going to hold me to it.
No, exactly. So the question with the no lying, Ethan, because I'm committed to it too, especially when it comes to this podcast. Are we like, by committing to not lying in 2025, are we absolved of our lies of past years? Like, do you think the action of us committing to being truthful this year allows us to just like be forgiven for all of our lies in the past? Because we've got a lot of them.
I mean, I think so.
I think so.
I think it's a line in the sand. I mean, if you want to, you can hold that against us, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about 2025.
We're not here to talk about the past.
The tough part is if we do lie, then we lied about our resolution.
Right. Which is like a double lie. It counts for more.
Yeah. So we're not going to do that. So we're going to do our best.
Absolutely. That's all we can do. All you can do is all that you do. Let's move up here to some real country music here. On this day in 1968, Johnny Cash performs at the Folsom Prison, and the recordings from that performance would go on to become his very famous live album, Live at Folsom Prison, and it's absolutely iconic country album, absolutely iconic album, period. One of the best album covers, too. It's just like a close-up like of a snarling Johnny Cash on stage, just, sweat covering his brow, and all it says is Live at Folsom Prison. I mean, this one's just absolutely, I mean, I think we need more live concerts from correctional institutions here in 2025. I think those should come back in, and I'd love to see who the first artist would be to do something like that. I don't know if they would allow it. I mean, back then, it was the 60s, man. I feel like you could do whatever you wanted, but hopefully we can do some of that now.
It's interesting because there's only a few genres that would really, really work in that setting.
Right.
And country, I feel like Johnny Cash is pretty fitting. I don't think you could bring in really heavy metal. I don't know. They might be a little, they might really like it, but I don't. It would be a little too aggressive. It may not, get the reaction that they wanted. But yeah, glad Johnny Cash came up because it may be a short list. Oh yeah, look at that.
That's a good looking album cover right there.
So I'm glad Johnny Cash came up because the list may be short, but we're hitting the big three here because in 1978, Elvis Presley's cover of "My Way" by Frank Sinatra is certified gold. So just like that, we hit Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, and Frank Sinatra all in two events. So that's great.
Absolutely unbelievable. And not only did we hit those esteemed men, we also hit This Day in Music event having to do with charts, which, as we know, the This Day in Music segment absolutely loves charts. We love certifications. We love going gold. We love going platinum. And this is a great one right here. I've never heard Elvis's cover of "My Way," but I'm sure it is a moving piece of music.
It's certified gold, so I don't know how we missed this, but I was thinking the same thing. I have not heard this version. There's just so much music, so much Elvis music too.
I think I feel comfortable in saying though that I am going to check this one out. Like, and I'm being truthful. I'm just excited to hear the King's take on this song.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, some legends. So that's This Day in Music. And that's it. We're going to move on to the meat of the episode. So this is a pretty easy one for us to do because we spend a lot of time with music. We spend a lot of time in the weight room. And accordingly, we spend a lot of time with music in the weight room. So
this is like if you had to create like an episode that was most in our wheelhouse, I think it's got to be this one.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited. So this one, the idea was, grunge music, but naturally when you listen to the weight room, I mean, there are a ton of stuff that comes up that gives you motivation. I'm sure that when you listen to music in the weight room, Chris, like you're all over the place too, and you probably don't just stay in grunge or hard rock or classic rock. I'm sure that, I sometimes like listening to some hard style or some, the EDMs of the world, like anything with a really good pulse and a beat, like beats per minute, like 120 beats per minute is what you're looking at. That type of like Avicii and all of those kind of fast paced, even rap songs are pretty solid. So we didn't include any of those. We kept it to rock and roll, but there are some, bands that are not, grunge rock, and that's fine.
Yeah, and I think in the request from Darren about this episode, it was a request for a Grunge Bible workout playlist. So Perfect. I think that absolves us of any responsibility to stay within the grunge rock sphere, because let's face it, I mean, some of the stalwarts that we've relied on over the years aren't grunge, nor should they be expected to be. And I think some of the best stuff out there for working out is outside of the grunge sphere. And as you said, Ethan, we've got a lot of experience here. And it's interesting, when I was looking at this list, I literally went back like into the archives to look at the tape of some of my bigger lifts over the years, nice. to see what was playing. Because awesome. there's been some instances where like I have been in control of the aux at the times of some of my bigger lifts. But lately, I'd say the last 2.5 years, I haven't been using headphones when I've been working out, nor have I been in control of the aux. So it's kind of, I think it's helped my training a lot more, in the sense of like, I'm focusing on the training more than I am about like what songs I should be listening to. And it's just kind of nice to be adaptable, because, with training and competing and weightlifting now, like you're not obviously always going to be in control of what's playing musically. So it's kind of fun. Just to be able to lock in. And then, if you're in an environment, if you're in the weight room and something good comes on, it's really exciting, and it's kind of like tune into the radio to hear your favorite song. So, but as is said, the favorites are always going to be the favorites, and the best of the bunch are always going to be the best of the bunch. And if I could start,
and what?
Yeah,
it also, I was going to say, the nice part is like, when you listen to a song, and like you said, you go back and look at the tapes, like when songs, they can have specific lore. Like you remember, like, this is when I first, benched 225. This is when I first squatted 315. Oh, this is when I squatted 500. Or, like you can pinpoint. So songs like, there are songs that you can go back and rely on because they've helped you before. And you're like, this song, like, will get me through this. And when I think we've talked about this on the pod too, like headphones versus open gym stereo. Right. And I'm an open gym music, like, stereo. Everybody can hear the song, and just because you're a little more aware of your surroundings. Headphones, like anytime I'm in headphones, like it feels like, I don't know. I don't love using headphones in the gym, but like in public gyms, or like you definitely need it. Yeah. But if you have the gym to yourself and you just play music, it's so much better.
Oh yeah.
And then finally, crap. I forgot what I was going to say.
Something, you lost his train of thought.
Yeah. Crap. Yeah. Anyway, the song, it'll come back to me. It'll come back.
It always does. I think this list. Here we go. He's got it back.
I got it back. So if you lift with me, I mean, it's very common that like if you have a big lift coming, like I'm usually always on the aux or whatever, and I'll be like, what song do you want? Like this is like, we're not playing games. Like you get to pick. Like we go. Where do you go? Like what is the song that you want to go right to get you through? And I think that's where we start, Chris. Like at the peak. So like if you are, unless you have another place to start, but if you are legit like going for a new personal best, like you have one shot. Because I mean you can go back for a second, but like that first one is, you can't start the song. I mean, sometimes people start the song over, but like usually if I don't get on the first one, I got to change songs. Like,
yeah, that's going to get me through. Yeah. Or I think you get one chance to call your shot if like you're going for like a one rep max. And like, if you fail and you want to take another stab at the rep, in my opinion, that failing of that attempt loses you that privilege to select the song. Like so like at that point, if the song's still going, it still goes, and it's up to somebody else. Because the song will not save you.
Yeah, exactly. You can't start the song over. You can't have a redo. But so this is your one shot. This is the song and the band to get you through the hardest part. Where do you go?
Oh yeah. And I don't. This is going to be a really boring answer, because at this current point, like it's been a while since like I've been in a moment like that where I've been offered or had the ability to like, hey, this is the song that I'm going to pick. But throughout most of my lifting life, and I've been lifting for like 15 years now, it's always been War Pigs by Black Sabbath. That's the one. I mean, going back to college, if I had the opportunity to put something on, it was usually that. And the best part is you put that song on and you use like the instrumental first part to like, go ahead and chalk up if you have to, go grab your belt, make sure that the bar is where you want it and just kind of get squared away. And then when Ozzy's vocals come in, it's time to roll. That would undoubtedly be my song to start with for sure. And if I had to choose, I've gone for a lot of big lifts with this song on.
Oh yeah. That's great. I knew that was coming for you. This is a good one. It's one that I've used from like talking to you, but it has such a build up that and most songs do. There's always like a walking around the weight room, throwing chalk around, kind of like slapping yourself, like like hiding behind the lad. Like sometimes in the one gym that we worked at last year, it's like there's a center row where there's like all of the racks and you lift in the middle of them, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so I stand behind the rack. I'm not center stage yet until it's time to come on, and then when the songs, that's when you step up to the weight and you start assessing the situation.
Yeah.
So for me, there's two songs, but I have definitely gone to Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold the most.
I knew there was going to be some Avenged Sevenfold from you on this list.
And there are definitely bands like, I mean, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, like we could do a full list with just their music. I mean, it's very possible, but, and same with Avenged Sevenfold, the Metallicas, the AC/DCs, like you can get through a whole workout just with those. So we'll try not to put like, too many songs by one band, but Avenged Sevenfold, all of their stuff, but Hail to the King, so perfect, really good. And, it's one of my favorites. It's just it's super intense. And then the other song, I'll just go right into it, I guess. For Whom the Bell Tolls is another just absolute electric way to get you going in the weight room, because that has the buildup that everybody that you need when you have a big song. You can't just obviously go right into it. You need the build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I think to piggyback off of the Metallica reference right here, any conversation discussing workout music would be incomplete without the mention of AC/DC, whether you like them or you don't. Like so much of their music, I think, was just made for the weight room and was made for heavy barbell training. I mean, going back, like you remember like all those old like early days of YouTube, like montages of just the giants of strength in the powerlifting or weightlifting or track and field world. These guys just like slinging around 600 pounds like it's nobody's business. And I feel like it was always set to AC/DC. And the two songs that always come to mind for me are Have a Drink on Me and then It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. There's just something about AC/DC that lends itself
Hell's
to
Bells.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that one comes on a lot in my gym, and it's always a treat, because you just get to lock in. 100%. One other song that I do need to mention, and I have a very vivid memory of it. One particular instance that I used it is, once again, unbelievably popular song, and for many good reasons. But that would be Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Speaking of a song with a build, you've got the Michael Stipe part to kind of load in. And as soon as that riff comes in, it's time to go. So to this day, the hardest squat workout that I ever did was a part of Squattober one year. And it was my workout. It was 3x7 at 455 pounds the whole way through. And I was visiting my brother in North Carolina. So I just like dropped in at this gym that I wasn't a member of. And I had to do 3x7 at 455. And for all three of those sets, I queued up and played I played Money for Nothing, and it was just so cool because that was probably one of the stronger points that I've been in the squat. I ended up squatting 585 like 2 weeks later. So not my all-time best, but certainly the best to that point. But I remember it was one of those things in the gym I'd never gone to. I signed up for the drop-in pass, and I walk over to the squat rack, and like I'm ripping through these squats in the background. Like there's some fellow strength individuals who like stopped what they were doing, and you know how dudes do it in the weight room. Like they'll never like look exactly at you while they're training or while you're like hitting a big lift. They'll always just like hitting their periphery and just like stop what they're doing. And yeah, exactly. Hit the mirror. Like there were a couple guys that were doing that while I was just like having the hardest lift of my life. Right. And yeah, it was funny. I remember the first set I listened to Money for Nothing, and I was like, well, I got two more of these. I feel pretty good about this. And as soon as Mark Knopfler's riff would kick in, I'd unrack the bar and start going.
And that's the perfect example. I mean, same like For Whom the Bell Tolls. Like the whole like the build up is perfect, and then it comes in with a cutting guitar that is exactly what you need. It's like, I mean, it literally is like turning the electricity on, and that is such a great choice, and that's really good for. I think like starting the weight room, getting the energy going early too. Like if you got this playlist, like this is going to be the opening song for the playlist.
Oh yeah.
Like this is the one that like comes on to get you really ready, to get you going, kind of like, dust off everything that, or bust the rust off, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That one's awesome. Really good choice by you.
Oh yeah. 100%. That one's always going to be a top tier candidate.
Yeah. So, one of the bands, like we talked about and we love, Alice in Chains, they got a lot of great songs that I think could be put in here. And one of the songs that I've really been enjoying listening to in the weight room that I feel like it really has been the last 5 years because, these songs go in waves. And I feel like Man in the Box has been such a great song for me to go to. That's kind of been like when I go to the public gym, I still listen to like, I still do the Avenged Sevenfold and some of the big ones, but like This one's moved up the list a lot for when I need something to. If I'm in the middle of chaos in the public, Man in the Box has been really great. The guitar solo, like everything about it has been awesome, and there's no surprises there, obviously.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of these bands I think that occupy the grunge scene that you could list probably a significant chunk of their discography in this discussion of great workout tunes. And Alice is definitely one of them. I mean, I had put down Them Bones, Wood, and Rooster as well. Obviously, yeah. I think we're all in agreement on that.
Them Bones is so good.
And so much of most of Facelift, all of Dirt, I would say, like all of these songs they play well in that situation. So. Even the Tripod album, there's a lot of stuff there. And speaking of Alice in Chains, there's a lot in Jerry's solo catalog that just absolutely rips in the gym. Back when the Brighton tour was happening, when Brighton dominated the Grunge Bible podcast for that summer that the album was out and the tour was going, I was powerlifting at the time. I powerlifted for about a year and a half or so, and I was big into the Cantrell zone, and I feel like every single day I was still lifting with headphones at the time, and every single day I was going to Jerry Cantrell. And my favorite of his solo for lifting was a song called "Leave Me Alone," which was great. You just walk in, unrack that bar and get down in the hole with some Cantrell just shredding and singing to you.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've never used that in the weight room, so I put that on there. But good riff, and Jerry. I mean, it fits. It plays.
And the shoe definitely fits.
The shoe definitely fits. That's really good. I'm trying to think of some other Jerry songs that I bet you some of his newer stuff we could throw in there. Maybe some Vilified.
Well, that was for I Want Blood. That was my first test for the album. I was on the road and I was traveling at this CrossFit gym that had 24-hour access, and they're like, "Hey, if you're in here alone, like you can get on the aux." And I played I Want Blood front to back for one of my lifts, and it definitely played. I mean, so much of his older stuff, like our Angel Eyes, was a really, really great one for lifting as well, for the workout.
That's exactly
playlist.
how I broke in the new album too. Now that I think about it, we were in the gym, and I remember we were texting back and forth because we were on parallel trains that day.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, because I think we did the podcast for it that night.
Yeah, like right after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Alice in Chains, Them Bones, Man in the Box, Wood, Rooster, all four really great. Like I said, you can go through the list. And I think we can move on to the Chris Cornell zone because he offers a lot in the weight room, and you can pretty much take from any project that he's been a part of. Soundgarden and Audioslave are obviously going to be the two mainstays here. Where do you want to start, Soundgarden or Audioslave?
I think we start with Soundgarden.
Well, let's just compare them. Like as a whole, is Soundgarden better in the weight room or is Audioslave? This is tough.
I think Audioslave's better in the weight room.
Audioslave might because you're combining Rage Against the Machine, who also has a whole catalog that can be used in the weight room.
It's like they were born for this purpose. The thing with
seriously,
thing with Audioslave, like that first album, the self-titled that came out in '02. Every single one of those songs is tailor-made from the studio to go into the workout, to go into the weight room. And the thing with Soundgarden, like some of their studio stuff.
Thank you, Kim.
It's just, yeah, exactly. So, some of their studio stuff, I prefer some of the live versions. So it's hard, like Slaves and Bulldozers, like there's some killer live versions that you can listen to. Like I remember one time it was like a peak week when I was powerlifting and I got obsessed with this. I think it was from 1991, this live performance of Slaves and Bulldozers, where Chris walks up to the mic and says, "This is your last chance," before Kim's riff comes in. And I vividly remember just going back to that one over and over again. But I mean, like comparing, like, and having to choose, like, is Audioslave better than Soundgarden is like trying to decide, like,
choose your favorite kid.
Yeah, it's like choose your favorite kid, or like choose between like Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz. Like you just like you can't make a selection here. They're all just powerhouses. I mean that first album from Audioslave, I mean Coach I's Gasoline, Show Me How to Live. That was the first ever song that I chose to put on when I was in college, like going for a weight room max. I was trying to front squat 400 for the first time. And I put Show Me How to Live on, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Gasoline is probably. I mean, Coach I's is really hard. That's really hard to beat for like the song to really get you through something. I do really like Gasoline, and yeah, it is like picking the two of them is really difficult.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Set It Off either. I mean, come on.
Yeah, really. Yeah, Set It Off's not even on there.
Or Light My Way.
I mean, yeah, like we said, the list could go on with these bands because really, like, I mean, I've definitely put the album on and walked away. Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
It's. What do you think about doing full albums in the weight room though? You kind of do need a shuffle though.
Yeah, I don't like to do. That's the one place where like I'm always going to be a playlist guy. Like sometimes it's just it's like too much of the. Of one thing. You kind of gotta get things going, because at least like if you have a playlist on, like you do have that thing of chance where it's like, oh shit, like this song is coming on. Like I don't think I would ever put like Bad Motorfinger on front to back in the weight room, even though like all of those songs are great candidates for for working out. I think especially like Rusty Cage or Jesus Christ Pose are outshined. And then, even further, forward in their discography, I know you're a big Spoon Man guy when it comes to slinging some weights around. 4th of July, obviously Mailman, Fresh Tendrils.
Mailman. Yeah, that's the other one I wanted to bring up. Mailman. Yeah, 4th of July is also like just, and there's different types of songs, right? Like it's pretty clear that, the Jesus Christ Pose is different than the, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, and different songs serve different purposes, and I think that's really important. I love mixing it up, like when I like my pre-workout to my workout to like my post-workout. Like post-workout, I put on like some jams and like way more stuff that I just like to calm you down, to cool you down, because you're at the mountaintop a lot of the time for these songs.
Yeah, and you need to cool down.
Another song. So before we get some of the more heavy stuff, we're picking our places here where we're kind of categorizing as we go. And just like Money for Nothing, as you said, that's like a song that when I walk in the weight room, like first song I listen to, something to get me like really ready for what's about to happen. Another song, this one came up this past year. I'm gonna shout out my teammate Brett Thompson, because he did this a few times when I asked him what song to put on. And he said it at the same time when we were throwing or when we were lifting. It kind of works for both, but it's like really good to start. And it's Dirty Laundry by Don Henley. And
yes,
it is, yeah, you're going to I was just say, Chris, I don't know if you've ever done this, but it is so good for the weight room. Same thing. It's just kind of, it definitely has the Dire Straits, like it has the synthesizer and something about like Dirty Laundry. Like it just,
dude, people do not respect the post Eagles run that Don Henley went on.
Yeah. Historic run. Yeah, exactly. So it is so good. Like there's just something of like, it might be that tempo that like really works. You just kind of like, it's just a solid head nod. You're kind of walking around.
It's almost kind of like Eminence Fronty, like from the Who, which is another great one.
It feels like you're walking on top of everybody, like walking around, like looking, and so good. It's really good.
Oh yeah. And speaking of Eminence Front, so back when I ran for like 2 years, like during COVID when the gyms were closed, and I ran a half marathon like right before I gave up running, and I was trying to hit like a big time PR in the half. I was trying to go for like a 10-minute PR or something, and I would have had to go at like a pretty tough pace for me to sustain for 13.1. I was on the starting line, and I ran the race alone. So I chose to use headphones, and Eminence Front was the song that I chose to start the playlist off with. It was the only one that I chose. Then I just shuffled my running playlist after that, and I ended up going like my first mile like 20 or 30 seconds too fast, and like I was cooked because like I had to hold that pace, and it was so humid. But I remember I felt like such an absolute badass when the gun went off, and you're just locking in immediately with Eminence Front. That was a good moment. We have to, because this is a Grunge Bible podcast, we have to talk about Pearl Jam, obviously. I think in a similar category as Chains and Soundgarden are, but I think a little bit less so. Like I don't often go to Pearl Jam in the weight room. And like this might be a hot take, but I think a lot of 10 is just too commercial maybe, and too well known for me to go to in the weight room. Like I don't think I ever put on like Alive or Even Flow in the weight room. And I think for me in my own brain, they've become way too memeified for me to ever to unironically listen to when I'm in the weight room. So I think for most of my Pearl Jam stuff, like I end up going
distracting.
Yeah, and like I end up going to the Versus album a little bit more. Like I think like Leash, for example, is a really, really solid weight room song. Rats, Blood. But I think the top Pearl Jam lifting song for me is an instrumental track that was a bonus track for Versus, and it's called Creedy Stomp. I can only assume from the pen of Mike McCready, and he's obviously featured quite heavily in it. And I remember some big deadlift workouts just hammering Creedy Stomp.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would put Pearl Jam as the setup, like the stuff I listen to kind of, but Alive and those songs definitely come on people's playlists.
They have to, you know.
But if there's a song to really get me in the mood for this stuff, it's gonna be the cutting guitar of Dissident, right? I mean that can always be put on. That fits in a lot of playlists for a lot of different reasons. So like that's always good. Obviously the subject matter and everything, like it makes sense for lifting weights and trying to better yourself. So
yeah, 1,000%.
I mean, rear view mirror. There's definitely I mean I can see it. I can see where people will put them on, but yeah, it's never been something that I've like rushed to either.
No, I just think there's stuff that's better suited for it. A couple more that I wanted to mention, like from grunge land and grunge adjacent land. STP's got a lot of them, but the one that sticks for me would be Wicked Garden, just because it brings the heavy in a way that you need. And then additionally, one song that I'm really high on just in general, but I think particularly for the athletic pursuits, is the Love Battery song Out of Focus. I had one of my best ever 4 reps in the squat to that song. I did 490 for 4, and I had Love Battery going in my ears. And that one's always one that I'm going to be high on. And I remember when we did our top 100 grunge songs list, I was a strong advocate for that song to climb the charts, and I think we ended up getting it a very favorable position. So thank you.
Yeah, we have to check the numbers. Yeah, that's one that I know you love. You love the battery. So maybe I probably need to give it a little more gym play. It hasn't.
I think it's worth it giving it a good shake.
Yeah, it's more punky and like kind of just like driving like through the entire song, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's punky. It's definitely just like it's kind of In a weird way, like it's noisy in the way that like a My Bloody Valentine song is noisy. Like it's just right
Okay.
from the jump. It's just loud all over. And it's just yeah, it's just a song that's really in your face.
Yeah. Yeah, SDP definitely they have a ton of submissions that you could put on here. And, same with the Tools and the Primuses of the world.
Yeah.
Right. So Primus, American Life and Here Come the Bastards are like two of the songs that I put on the list. And there was a time in my life, in my American life, where I was the bastard, and I would put these, and I would be coming into the weight room every day, and that's exactly how I felt. Like, yeah, they come exactly, and like it sometimes it is instrumentally driven, and sometimes it is lyrically driven, and you kind of connect to like I'm the man in the box. I'm down in the hole. Like the down in the hole can be perfect when you're squatting, right?
Yeah.
We Die Young. That's another good one for in the weight room. Like, and like Here Comes the Bastards. Like, all right, that's just it fits what how I felt going to the weight room for a while, and it also was like choppy enough where like it's perfect. Like it was really, and Primus is weird enough where like you can kind of shuffle their songs, and you can find a place for them in the weight room.
Yeah, you totally can. I think some other bands that you can always find a place for, or at least some of these tracks that kind of satisfy the need for different points of a workout or different points of a lift. One song that I love for the weight room, particularly like getting in and like warming up, like especially for a heavy day, like, you're working through your 50, 60, 70%, would be The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. I think that's always a fantastic pick. Additionally, really high and really heavy into LaGrange by ZZ Top. That one's just like, hey, I'm here to like kick ass and chew bubble gum, and like I've been out of bubble gum for a week. So this is what I need to do. And additionally, one that I think is going to fall into your wheelhouse would be Black Betty by Ram Jam. I think that's always a non-negotiable aspect.
Yeah, that one seems like it's definitely been a staple for longer than it's been around. Like the people were listening to that in the weight room before it was
before it was released.
It was unreleased. Like, yeah, some good choice. Like, yeah, each one of these things are like they have its spot. I mean, and there's so many bands like Bush, like Machine Head, and there's a lot of Bush stuff because it's a lot of noise and sound and like guitar heavy.
Yeah,
and Machine Head definitely makes it on some playlists, and there's other ones like, I mean, when you're never mad. I'm never mad when Bush came on in the weight room.
Right.
When I'm building the playlist, I probably leave them out sometimes, but like they definitely fit, right?
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think, Silverchair is in the same sense that, they have a lot of stuff that fits. We didn't mention them earlier with kind of like the big four conversation, but Nirvana's obviously got some that fit. I'm just not a huge fan of Nirvana, so I don't often turn to them in the weight room.
Yeah, they come on, like you said, they're usually fine. They're good. But like, It Smells Like Teen Spirit comes on, I'm like, all right.
No one always
I don't know.
comes
It's
on.
just like, it's very commercial, or I think about that when I'm in there, and sometimes you don't want that. Rape Me is also that's the one song by them that I think usually it just gets really intense, obviously, and those build-ups in songs that have like the really just frantic and everything is just frantic, minute long, just kind of yelling is pretty great. So that song is good.
Yeah. Ethan, we chatted about them earlier, but to maybe go a little bit further into depth with them, another band tailor-made for the weight room would be Rage Against the Machine. I remember when I first switched to weightlifting after my track and field career ended, my first ever like Big Friday type thing where I was maxing out in the snatch and the clean and jerk. I was still lifting in like the athletes weight room at Iowa State, and the strength coach, he's like, what do you want to put on? I was like, I think we got to go for Rage Against the Machine. And still to this day, that's always a great one to turn to. I think in particular, my favorite of theirs for the weight room would be Testify from the Battle of Los Angeles album. Really, really, really important stuff to be listening to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you go into any gym and you talk to the strength coach and you ask to put on Rage Against the Machine, they're going to be like, no problem. That's, I mean, let me just go to recently played here.
It's like, I know this guy, this guy's not going to get hurt tonight. Like he knows how to like bail out of a lift. Like he knows to put everything away.
Yeah. Like I can trust this guy. Exactly. And I think that like when you see on the wall, it says like pound for pound champ or like 1,000-pound club, 1,500-pound club. Like under 1,500-pound club is Zach De La Rocha and Tom Morello. Like,
100%.
they're a part of those clubs. Like, that's how you that's how you get there. There's no one that gets there without listening to them.
Yeah, those are like those weightlifters that weigh like 65 kilograms, but they can clean and jerk 200 kilograms. Like,
right, and you have to deal with that in your weight room.
They pack a punch.
Yeah, really, that is such a good band, and probably it could be the top band for this type of stuff.
Yeah,
like
totally.
them, Audioslave, and like Metallica, like are in every weight room across the world.
Yeah, there's some non-negotiables. A couple other songs I want to mention in bands as well. Ethan, Judas Priest holds a very special spot in our hearts with Breaking the Law, and No Surrender, definitely. Living After Midnight, perhaps, but I think Breaking the Law for sure. Sometimes you just gotta lay it down for everybody.
Yeah, those are definitely important. Shout out Coach Bray, Adam Bray. Yeah. Definitely Breaking the Law. That one fits like the same thing we were talking about. Just something about the lyrics and just breaking. You feel like you're training to do something that is illegal in the weight room. I also wanted to bring up Killing in the Name of.
Yeah.
Because I think we both have the same exact memory. And this one, like, we took it outside the weight room to our 6 a.m. kettlebell mile with Chip Brundage.
Should we explain what the kettlebell mile was? Like,
I think we may have done it on the show before, but I think we can definitely do that.
Yeah, time to update again. So basically, what the kettlebell mile was, it was a part of our fall conditioning when we were both throwers at the University of Pittsburgh, and it was every Friday, right? During the fall, we would do one, and it was a mile's worth of sprinting, and then instead of resting, if it was like, I think we ended up doing like 10 160-yard sprints, like 80 down, 80 back or something. I think that gets you at about a mile. But instead of resting after your 160, you have to do kettlebell exercises, whether it be twists, whether it be kettlebell squats, whether it be like kettlebell snatches, something like that. So like there was no downtime really in between, and it was grueling because it was so early in the morning, and it was especially like as me doing it as a young 17 or 18-year-old freshman, I really wanted to put a good impression out to everybody that I was that I was physically viable. It was they were tough, man.
They were tough, and if it wasn't for Killing in the Name of, because that seemed to always come on towards the last like 2 or 3 reps, and it was just like a big, and the way that our trip in Pittsburgh went, we were anti-establishment as far as the people in the department and the head coach and whatnot. So like when it came to the end, when they were just screaming, like it felt like we were
I won't do what you tell me.
It felt like we were all banded together by this song and this workout, and like we were the only ones awake. 6:20, we're finishing up the mile, and it was esoteric. It was very important.
Yeah, I agree.
So really solid. All right, we're coming to the end of kind of the playlist talk. I wanted to bring up, the OGs, the high school winners, like the stuff that really like.
If you're going where I think you're going right now, I've got a really good story. So let's hear it.
Yeah, this is like in high school, I started lifting my junior year. As from what I can remember, that's when I put on my. That's where you put on like your first bit of muscle that'll last you the life. Like that's when you get to the size that like that's your base layer. Like, and if you're out there and if you're in high school, like get into the gym now, because that's when all your body's producing the most testosterone. Like before you have any facial hair, like your body is producing all this stuff like so naturally. So it's a good time to get in there and develop. If
you are going to go throughout life, and if people are going to think of you as like a strong person, like, hey, like if I have to move a fridge, like this is somebody who's going to be able to know what to do. That rep is honed, and it's paid for in high school. It is.
It really is. And like I said, if you've never done weightlifting or working out, like getting into it when you're like in your 30s, I think is really difficult. But you develop all those abilities and just like that general muscle at that age. So anyway, so back in the day, I mean, there was the 3 days grace.
Thank you.
And drowning pool. So we got Bodies by Drowning Pool that like let the bodies hit the floor. That was, if you weren't listening to that in the weight room, like you weren't in the weight room, because that was in every weight room across the country.
Yeah.
It was just so important to have that. And then I Hate Everything About You by 3 Days Grace. Riot was also another huge one. Like those songs were just so like they were huge back then, and they still play. They are still like early 2000s weightlifting music. Like that really is a goated time for. I mean, music was legit made for that specific. Those specific people.
It was ready to be consumed by 15 or 16-year-olds benching 225 for the first time, or maybe taking down their first 315-pound squat. And
nothing was better than that.
No, because the technique and the depth on all of these movements was always questionable. Everybody was starfishing their cleans. Everybody was throwing their ass off the bench to get the bar back up to the spotter, if you even used a spotter. And the squats were all over the place. But
and
it didn't
what
matter.
happened after you finished the lift?
What's that?
High fives, jubilation. Like you did it. You're the strongest man in here. Like there was no hate either.
No,
maybe sometimes, but
it was like if I was eating, everybody was eating. And this is really like 3 Days Grace. Like that's really where my that was the soundtrack to me, beginning to lift and falling in love with weightlifting as a way to be active and to be strong. So I did track and field in high school all 4 years, and we used to have we had the same lifting schedule. We lifted Monday through Thursday, and on Mondays and Wednesdays we would bench, we would back squat, and we would do dumbbell jumps. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays we would do hang cleans, we would do hang clean high pulls, and we would do plate twists. Come hell or high water for all 4 years, if it was a Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday, you knew what you were doing. And we had a little radio in this tiny little weight room. I think we had like 3 platforms or something, so everybody's all snuck together. It's really, really humid in there. It's tough conditions, really rusty stuff. And we'd play the radio, but then one day I think we learned that you could hook up an aux cord to the radio and you could play somebody's iPod. And one of our teammates, he had an iPod that had like all of this stuff on here. And we used to always go in and be like, hey, coach, like, can we listen to Nick's iPod? And he said, no, for what seems like months. And then one day, because we kept asking, he finally relented. He was like, if you guys want to listen to Nick's iPod, you can listen to Nick's iPod. And I very vividly remember the first 2 songs that were played. The first one was On My Own by 3 Days Grace, which I thought was the hardest song that I had ever heard, and I was ready to lift more than I ever had. And the second song that was played was Face to the Floor by Chevelle. And at that point, I thought that was the heaviest song that I had ever heard. And I was even more, I was ready to lift double what I thought I was ready to lift when I was listening to On My Own. And it was stuff like that. Like, I mean, I took down so many lifting milestones back then, obviously very questionable. I don't think they would hold up to a discerning eye, but that wasn't the point. And this was in like the earlier years. Like nobody, like we didn't like record anything either. So like it's all lore. So like if I squatted like 345 or something, like by that was like 15 years ago, I could say I squatted 545.
It's bumped up a couple of pounds. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah, it's so true. Like I said, the energy in there, like everybody's first PRs and all this stuff, because everybody's making huge gains too. So it's it was such camaraderie.
The newbie gains were just unreal.
Dude, we're talking Hall of Fame, like lifting songs from back then. You got Last Resort by Papa Roach, Headstrong by Trapped, and then of course everybody has the same exact experience with Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. Everyone knows exactly what, before I even say, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody puts that song on. It's so good. It's so good. And then you get to the point in the song where it gets really weird, and he starts screaming, and it's like a domestic violence, and everybody's like, should we turn it off? And like you're in weight rooms where you have to like turn it off because it's like, this is really heavy, but like it's also like, I don't know if we can play this part of the song. And like I feel like even I still get a little uncomfortable when it comes on if I put it on like if I was lifting at Sanford like
Right.
2 years ago. But that's the song. It's in there for a reason because it's built for the gym.
Yeah,
it's built for us.
It totally is, and everybody has a common experience of, back in high school, you either had like your coach chaperoning the weight room who was like, doing your programming, or you just had like that like old like over the hill like formerly buff teacher who was like the proctor for the weight room, and like you just sit there and like obviously like not providing any support or anything or any safety. Yeah, exactly. And you'd have like this one kid going for a big lift, and he would put one of these songs on and like damn near kill himself with the barbell, and like it was always like everybody screaming like, come on, let's go, and he'd get under the barbell and just like chaos would ensue, and he'd almost kill himself. And then like the silence afterwards, like no one's saying a word, everyone's kind of looking around, but the song is still just screaming through the speakers.
Oh, like, yeah. or there's a fail, and you guys are all like, unracking the weight, and down with the sickness is just getting to the part where you have to like figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And like when somebody would fail like a big lift in high school, like because none of us knew anything about lifting, and like you're trying to like offer like you're trying to rationalize like why they may have failed the lift, and like I'm sure like none of what we were saying is correct. Like, oh, like you were just like a little bit more, and like I'm sure none of it actually made any sense or was true at all. But I mean that's everybody's got to learn how to do that stuff.
My favorite compliment after a lift, after a fail. You totally had that.
You totally had
Dude,
that.
You totally had that. You just had to do this. Like you had that.
Yeah.
So good.
And like the narrator's voice chimes in. He did not have that.
Oh yeah. Like there was no way in hell I had that.
No.
Dude, remember Click Click Boom?
Oh yeah. Dude, here's one for you. Did you remember what was it? Woman by Wolf Mother?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's Godsmack. Dude, there's like
Five Finger Death Punch. I was first introduced to them back in the high school weight room.
Breaking Benjamin. Boom by POD.
Headstrong by Trapped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, Paralyzer by Finger 11. I forgot about that. That song was like, that. Talk about a one-hit wonder. That song was, I played that pretty heavily for a while. I thought that song was like so good. And then, of course, you got Linkin Park that came in. Like, Chester is really good for this. We haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed, like, Crawling. That was, like, I think that was one of the songs that I still listen to. Super good. Yeah, 30 Days Grace and, like, oh, man, the Kryptonites of the world.
I was just going to mention Kryptonite from Three Doors Down for sure.
Awake and Alive by Skillet. Yeah. Skillet had a few that would make it.
Man, there were so many from back in the day. It's funny because, like, I think so one of the gyms that I lift at right now seemingly is just they're stuck in 2010, 2011, like whenever they play music, like it's all this stuff. For some reason, I think it's the only place in the world that still plays Theory of a Dead Man. Like I'll hear Theory of a Dead Man, like Bad Girlfriend comes on all the time, which is just hilarious. And it's obviously the uncensored version because I don't think you could even find a way to censor that song. And it's just, it's so I get my nostalgia fix there. And like if I were to be in control of like the aux now, like I listen to like a lot of stoner rock now when I lift. So like 1,000 Mods is like one of my favorite bands to listen to while I lift. Their bands like All of Them Witches is really great too. Somali Yacht Club is a really, really awesome one. Hermano. And then obviously you've got the Caiuses of the world, which really hit hard when you're lifting. But sometimes I get into the zone too with like some bluesy stuff. Like I've had a lot of really good lifts to Gary Clark Jr.'s stuff. Some bluesy Hendrix that's a little bit harder. White Stripes, obviously. Some
Hendrix
Black Keys always in the rotation. So I mean, it's really not a bad place to turn to. Truck Fighters, absolutely fire in the weight room. Melvins too. I mean, they have their moments.
Oh yeah, the Melvins definitely have a place. I mean, yeah, you could throw Mudhoney on.
Mm-hmm. You can throw Tad.
I mean, Korn. Yeah, Korn is really big for the weight room. People like that. And yeah, there's just there's a lot of space in the weight room too. You can find a reason and a place to put it on, but I would say, like, the comforting aspect of going back to like and having the lore built up over time is really important.
Yeah.
It's really special. Like, there's definitely when you put on new songs in the first few times, I mean, if you have nothing to base it off of, it's tough to it's tough to really be connected to it. Gojira, been listening to them a ton in the past
I knew
year.
they were going to come in for you.
Yep, yeah, and I wanted to maybe talk about it, but I haven't had as much time. So like, but now I'm getting to the point where I know songs like Stranded. I know songs I like putting on for certain things, and it's been wonderful. So make sure that if you have a playlist, just I'm sure, Chris, what's your oldest weight room playlist? I'm sure you have one that from like the 2012
I did some house cleaning. I've got a big playlist that like I will use if I'm ever lifting, and it's just called Squattober because I made it for a Squattober one year. But just looking back here, I think I made one. I don't know if I deleted it or not, but I had one. Yeah, I had one that I made years ago when I was in college, and it was called New Lift. I think I made it in like 2016 or 2017. It had some Stones, some Allman Brothers, Mississippi Queen, some Canned Heat, The Who, Derek and the Dominoes, Black Crowes, Black Sabbath, Blackberry Smoke, just all the blacks, I suppose.
Yeah.
ZZ Top, Greta Van Fleet, they hit for a brief time. I had that one. I had another one that was called Kinda Loud, which had like a lot of very similar stuff. I was always making lifting playlists.
Louder than Lift.
Yeah, that's a good. We might have to when we make this episode into a playlist, we might have to call it Louder Than Lift.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely like classic rock. Like grunge has a great space. Classic rock has a great space. The heavy has a really great space. I love. 90s, just 90s rock and roll, like the the Lits and the Better Than Ezra.
Dude,
like
the Seven Mary Threes even.
Yep, Sum 41, like Over My Head. I really love that song for doing like some circuit training or something. And Blink 182, like the punky stuff. That you can get into the punky 90s rock. Green Days. Now we're just naming bands in history, and I love that. That's what this is all about. Of course,
that's the purpose. That's the purpose of all of this. If you think about it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to definitely build a list. I mean, there's a ton of lists out there, but
let's make
Ethan.
Let's make a collaborative playlist and then toss it out to everybody so they can check it out. We'll go from there because this is a good one to build out.
And I'm going to use it too. And the best part is too, like when we get together and lift, we get to listen to the music together. And, that's always. I mean, that's what it's all about. Camaraderie.
That's what all of this is about. Because you always remember the lifts that you make, but you remember the people that were there to spot you or to help you rack the bar. To most importantly, to celebrate with you afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Is there any good lifting? 90s. Lifting from pit days. Anything? Do you remember the music they played in the weight room? Do you have any vivid memories from that time? I'm trying to think of. Like,
I remember like
played.
Explicitly not being allowed to use the aux, except
King wouldn't allow that.
Well, she was a national champ. She knew what it took. I remember one day, like we were big into Creedence at the time, and like we ended up getting a lot of Creedence on. I honestly don't remember what they used to play, except I do remember. Yeah, except I do remember St. Patrick's Day 2015. They played all like Irish drinking songs while we were lifting, which was pretty electric.
So yeah, once you get the Flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphys of the world going, a song that I really have enjoyed, Rose Tattoo, that we listened to at the bachelor party. Rose Tattoo is really
I'm gonna have to go. I have 2 videos for myself lifting at Pitt. I'm gonna have to go back and see if I can hear what's playing.
Isn't that crazy? Only like you have probably thousands of videos from this, just 24.
Yeah,
and then you have
it's
two from
it's like the dark ages. Well, I remember like when we were in school, like we were not allowed to have our phones on us, and it was only like when the man himself would pull out his phone. That's if he chose to record. That's the only time you got a recording.
Yes. Oh man. We talk a lot
how
of
different
shit.
things are now.
We talk a lot of shit about Pitt and different and our different parts of our careers. But if there was one weight room that I could go back in and hit a lift, if there was one place that I could really go back and know that I was going to get stronger, it was the weight room in the Fitzgerald Center or whatever it's called.
And the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse.
The Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. Dude, it was a weight room above like the basketball courts above, and it was like a bird's eye view, and it was in a gym, so the ceiling was really high, and there was something about it, man. It was like you're in the bird's nest, and man, that was such a great weight room. That was the best part about that whole place.
Yeah, that weight room was absolutely impeccable, and it was
So
the place.
good.
It was the place where you got stuff done. I remember they've redone it since then, but I remember all the old wood platforms and all the old plates, and then they had like different mottos on the wall, and one of them said pain, ignore it, endure it, or love it, which is fantastic. It's funny enough, Ethan. So I was saying earlier on in the episode that that one lift that I did when I did like 455 for a 3x7, it was at a gym in North Carolina. And at that gym in North Carolina, that gym had purchased the old plates from our pit weight room.
Wow.
It was all like all the bumper plates, like the 15 kilo, 20 kilo, 25 kilo plates. And because on the inside they had the blue ring with the gold Pit Athletics. I remember running into that and like shitting myself because I was like nobody around here knows what we used to do with those plates.
Yeah. You've lifted with those plates before potentially. That's
well, because that was the thing. Like, I mean, for that platform, because you, me, and Jim Toth shared a platform, and we were like, we don't miss our lifts on this platform, and we never did.
I love the platform hierarchy that goes on
the partner system, and down you started like closest to the door were the people that maybe got after it the least, and then the further on you'd get away from the door into the back
heavier
corner.
The platform the last platform was where the heaviest went down. And it's also it's definitely known and all, because we went to Kentucky and I had to pick a platform, and it was this is like the shot putters platform, and I was like,
oh yeah.
I remember being like, no, I want this to be my. It was always a battle of there's a platform that is coveted because that's where all the shit goes down.
Yeah, that's where the things happen. I remember I was fanatical when I went to Iowa State. I was fanatical about if I was in the weight room, I was using my squat rack because I was like until somebody in here that I'm teammates with can squat more than me, it's mine.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for someone else to choose where they get to go.
Yeah, it's there's 8 others to choose from, but not this one.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so funny how you compartmentalize things. Things mean so much to you. I need to be on this weight room in this
yeah,
rack.
Exactly. Oh, dude, those were the days, man.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this has been lifted in a lot of weight rooms across the country.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Looking back through my videos, all these random places,
stadiums.
Yeah, exactly. And you always have a story from each one. Yeah, dude. I remember last little story at Iowa State. We had our weight room indoor at the indoor facility, but then outside by our outdoor track, we had this storage shed. It was a big shed, and it was big enough that we brought I think 2 platforms in from when they redid the indoor weight room. We had a couple old racks, and we I don't know if but I decided to coin it as the Grinders Lounge, and you'd always go out there and open up the bay doors and just rip some lifts back there. And oh yeah, it was great. A lot of good lifting done in a lot of places over the years.
Yeah, so just the other day I went to a gym around here, and I just don't have a good home gym around. We use LA Fitness. My brother goes there because they have a sauna and a gym,
right,
or basketball. But it's just Gen Pop. There's just a ton. And then my dad, he's been going to Final Results Fitness for 35 years or whatever. And I went there, and all the machines are that old. They're all 35 years old, and it is so crowded in there because of all the machines. It was terrible. I had to when I left, I was like, I can't get any work done here.
Right.
I don't have a safe place here, which sucks because the weight room is so. It is a Grinders Lounge. That is a great name to give to something.
Oh yeah,
that holds so much value.
Absolutely, dude. That's what it's all about. And this episode couldn't have come at a better time. I'm going to the gym today, and I get to hit some heavy singles and some pause snatch and some Holt clean and jerk, and then I get to squat 440 for 5 tonight, which is the most I'll have done in a while. So
wow,
I'm looking forward to ripping some tonight.
That's awesome. I'm gonna get after it as well.
You better believe it.
Because that's what we do. That's what we have to do. So if you're out there, everybody, and you need some motivation to get into the gym, well, look no further. We have Louder Than Lift playlist is live. This will be coming out Monday, January 13th. So the lifting playlist is totally up, and we're gonna spam it, not with everything that we put on there, and some other special ones, I'm sure. So we got your back. This is 2025 Grunge Bible. We're not messing around, and we've already given you guys all the motivation you need to go out there. And I guess sadly or not sadly, this is like specifically for lifting heavy. So right. I think you're going to be forced to lift heavy if you're listening.
I mean, perhaps
to this
like if that's never been your thing, or if you've never done it before, there's no better time to start.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty exciting. Anything else you have to say? I mean, like, we could talk about lifting. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if there's one topic we could go on forever and ever and ever about, it would definitely be this one. Thank you, Drew McFadden, our producer. Thank you, everyone listening, everyone supporting us. Certainly the people that have supported us financially through Patreon or from buying merch or just donating to us. But before we leave, Ethan, any songs of the week here, if we cherry pick maybe one that we talked about or one that we haven't talked about a piece.
Yeah. Let me quick pull up. I did.
Yeah. Well, you pull it up. I can talk about mine if it's taking you some time or.
Well, I got it.
Okay, cool.
I was deciding between two, but this is actually a pretty good, and this will be on the playlist, but it's not something that we've talked about, but it is a banger. And I coined, so my buddy Noah, he was an old teammate, he coaches at UNI. He's been doing this thing throughout the new year, and he makes a Monday morning playlist, and
nice.
He asks everybody submits one song, and then he compiles into a playlist. And he sent the link over and asked for a song when I was in the gym, and I sent him this song, and the song is "Creep" by Radiohead, but is remixed in a hardstyle format, and it's by a bunch of different people: Nalek, Haley Reinhardt, LNY, So I don't know.
Those songs are always by a bunch of different people.
But it is a rendition of "Creep" in a hardstyle remix. And if you don't know what hardstyle is, you listen to it and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's kind of like sirens, and it's very specific. But it's really electric and totally perfect for the weight room. And I definitely enter this. I definitely go to hardstyle is in. It's the year of hardstyle. But like EDM and like, what's the other one? Dubstep.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Back that was the 2012 big movement was dubstep. So yeah, I'm going to go with that song. It fits really well. So, and I'll put on my songs of the week too.
Sweet, excellent. I'm gonna pick a song. It'll definitely be on Louder Than Lift, and I'm very surprised that this band didn't come up while we were talking about this. But these conversations always have to include the mighty Led Zeppelin, and I'm going to include When the Levee Breaks. That's a really great tone setter at the beginning of the lift, kind of when you're getting warmed up and when you're climbing towards where you want to get to. So I mean, don't really need to say anything else about that song because its reputation precedes itself.
Yeah. When you do me a favor, when you're driving to the weight room today, put on Dirty Laundry. All right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It is gonna change. It's gonna set the mood big time.
I might total 400 kilograms tonight.
Yeah. You better be careful because it's gonna make you want. It's gonna make you want to.
Dude, I might, and not to mention, last thing, it's from Don Henley's 1982 album, I Can't Stand Still, with absolutely just impeccable album artwork.
Just a beautiful kitchen to be writing a letter or whatever.
They don't make them like that anymore. Well, Ethan, I think we're ready. We're ready to roll. I think we're gonna make a big. Yeah, dude, I'm a little pissed. I have to wait 4 hours to go lift. I want to do it now.
I haven't been this excited to go and get into the gym and pop in the headphones and get something going than right now.
I am jacked right now.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for listening and making it through another episode. Next week, the 200th episode.
Oh boy.
We got some planning to do because we got to make something special. So stay tuned on different, whatever levels, social medias, and we'll make sure that we do something cool.
Keep in tune because there could be perhaps a live element of the podcast coming between January 18th and January 20th. It's just the thought it could be happening. So we'll see.
Perfect.
All right, everybody.
Chris, thank you. Drew, thank you. Everybody else out there, thank you.
Rock and roll. Stay heavy.